All right, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. We're going to do another Who Dat today over Kobie Mckinzie. But before we get into it, as you can tell by the sign behind Brandon's head, congrats, Justin Raidenbaugh. I believe that's how you say it, Raidenbaugh. We saw multiple comments from last week of you participating, and we just wanted to, we've seen you come back multiple times, and we just wanted to give you the tickets. So, in order for you to get it, go ahead and either email us, which is in the description, or follow us on, find us on Twitter and send us a direct DM. We'll get the tickets to you. So just do that. And if we end up don't hearing from you, which I'd imagine you do watch most of our videos, I figure we will, we'll end up just giving these tickets away. We'll give you till next week to claim them. So just send us an email and we'll get those to you. So we really
Congrats,
appreciate it.
bud.
And yeah, definitely. Keep coming back. So you don't have to enter in, following weeks, because we're going to give it to someone else for these last three pairs. But we definitely encourage the comments, and we really appreciate it. So for everyone else, thanks for participating. But we've got 3 more weeks of three pairs of tickets that we're going to give away. This week, we're going to do another one of those. Basically, you got to follow us on social media, subscribe on our YouTube, and do the end of video challenge. So you're going to want to be able to stay for the end of the video whenever Brandon gives you the challenge, and we'll announce the winner next Monday, the 28th. So, but we're about to hit 3,700 subscribers. Let's get us there this week. I really think we can. We're really starting to roll, and we're going to be really starting to roll as we go into the spring game. So another thing, speaking of the spring game, we're thinking about, everyone that's going to be there. Brandon and I will be there. We're going to be hanging out at O'Connell's, for the couple hours before kickoff. If you guys want to come by, we're going to be in there. I'm sure it's going to be packed, but if you want to stop by and, have a drink or say hi or whatever, especially the people that win the tickets, but we would like to see everyone else too. If you're there and want to stop by, we highly encourage it. So, be sure to see us. We're going to be going to games this fall, and we'll probably do these types of meetups again. So we'll keep reminding you, but if you win, or even if you don't win, just come by O'Connell's, a couple hours before, and then we'll head over probably 30 minutes to an hour before kickoff. So we'll get going into it. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Get us to 3,700 subscribers this week. All right. So Kobie Mckinzie, I feel like him and Kanik are the two most talked about, hyped up, highly anticipated kids coming out of high school, joining the Sooners. Another linebacker, 6'2", 245 according to 247, according to Sooner Sports, or the official OU website. He's 244 pounds. He's out of Lubbock, Texas in the 2022 class, 4-star, number 163 overall, number 16 linebacker in the class. He had offers from Texas, Texas Tech, Arkansas, Florida State, SMU, Texas A&M. So quite a few, big time schools. And in this region, I know Oklahoma State also offered him, and a few other programs did as well. I feel like a lot of people know his story, but if you don't, committed to the Sooners. He was the first one in the Champ U 2022 class. Very first kid to commit. He's committed for nearly 2 years. Lincoln Riley obviously ended up leaving and left. And, Kobie immediately started second thinking his decision, and ended up decommitting. And he flipped to Texas really fast. Committed to Steve Sarkisian and those guys down in Austin. And then Brent Venables got hired, and Venables started courting him and got him on campus like the weekend before official signing day. And as soon as he got on campus, it was game over. When you had Brent Venables saying, come play linebacker for me, you were committed to OU for 2 years. You're getting an upgrade as a linebacker coach from the previous coaching staff. Why wouldn't you come play for me? And he ended up flipping back, which was always good to, not let Texas get this stud of a kid. Just a freak athlete. He ended up, winning multiple times, or, he was like a 2022 or 2020 Max Preps Junior All-American, first team All Selection. He was an Under Armour All-American selection as well. A highly accoladed kid, a highly anticipated kid, Jose, what do you think about McKinzie and the outlook of him? I feel like a lot of people have some strong opinions on him.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly about the strong opinions. I know a lot of people believe that him and Kanik are going to be starting sooner rather than later. Some even believe that going into this upcoming season. I disagree. I mean, I think Kanik is physically gifted enough to play already, but we'll see where he ends up. I think it's more likely to be at the end of the year. But with Kobie, after watching more and more of his highlights, I think he's really smart, especially playing in the middle linebacker position. But he needs to work on his closing speed. He really understands how to play the running game and make sure that he's getting the running back down. But whenever it comes to getting out wide and making sure he's going in sideline to sideline, he's a little slower than a guy like Kanik, even Danny Stutzman. So he's going to have a lot of competition just because of that. But I think he'll be a leader because of how smart he is on the football field. Like he was making the right reads. He played on special teams in high school. So I think that's where he might get some playing time earlier in his Sooner career, but he will definitely be a starter at some point. I just don't see it happening this year. In regard to his outlook, him and Kanik, along with the other guys from his class and the class before, are going to be a problem for everyone once they're all together and more experienced. I think not this upcoming season, so not the 2022-23 year, but 23-24, him along with Danny, Jaron, and then you got Clayton Smith on one side, maybe even Ethan Downs. They're going to be a scary pass rushing group. And even in the pass coverage, he's pretty decent at pass coverage. Again, it's just the speed that he needs to work on. And luckily, he is an early enrollee, so we'll get to see him at the spring game. So that'll be exciting to see how much he's improved just in the matter of 4 months being on campus and when working out with Schmitty and being in this defensive scheme. So that'll be, I think that's going to be one of the things that I'd like to see. Hopefully I can find a way to watch it since I'm all the way out in Arizona and unfortunately won't be there with you guys. But I think that's got to be the main thing when he's on the field is, can he keep up speed wise with the guys in the linebacker position?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just wanted to start by congratulating Justin again. We really, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate the support, and we appreciate all of your guys' support. Justin, you happen to win. We appreciate it. We hope to see you at O'Connell's. We hope to see all of you guys at O'Connell's. I just wanted to start. As far as the spring game goes, Jose, you are in Arizona. That is tough. I'll FaceTime you in, bud. We'll be there the whole time. So now we'll move on to Kobie Mckinzie itself. My first thing with him is size, speed, instincts. He's a very instinctual player. Reads and reacts very, very well. Has tremendous size, tremendous speed. He's also a special teams player. He's got tape on special teams, which I think speaks to Jose's point about his intelligence on a football field. I mean, there's tape of him blocking field goals. He knows what he's doing out there on a football field. He's pretty damn good. You guys know how I feel about Jaden Rowe, how I feel about Jaren Kanik. I think Jaren Kanik, Jaden Rowe, and Kobie Mckinzie, this kid right now that we're talking about, are the only three freshmen that have the chance to start. But furthermore, beyond that, I think the future of the Sooner defense behind those three guys specifically is going to be very, very bright. I can't wait to see those three on the field at the same time. And I don't think we're going to see it this year as like an everyday starter package type deal. But next year, I do imagine we see Jaren Kanik, Kobie Mckinzie, and Jaden Rowe on the football field at the same time together as starters. And to me, that's scary. Those guys they're so fast, and then they hit so hard, and they know what's going on in the field so well. I can't wait to see all three of those dudes at once.
Yeah, the sky's the limit for him and Kanik and Rowe. I mean, they're all great, tremendous athletes. And like you said, they can play a little bit of special teams as well. McKinzie can. And that has been a little bit of a weak spot for previous Sooner teams, ever since Shane Beamer left. And, that might be a path for him to get onto the field. I will say at 6'2", 245, he already has college size. I mean, he's got the frame to play, tomorrow if he really needed to. The only thing is, I think where he struggles is a little bit in the pass coverage area. I feel like you get him, I think, Jose, you said a little bit like this as well, that you get him out in space a little bit and he seems to, it's a little tough for him. I mean, he is an incoming freshman, rightfully so. I think that's something that he's going to have to kind of be taught. Kanik's a little more polished as far as in the, kind of playing that wheel route against a running back. That's going to be the big key. Can he make take the step between spring ball and summer ball in the pass coverage area to get onto the field to play linebacker? I mean, he's also going to have to get through. So Stutzman, I think we both, or all three of us, agree that Danny Stutzman is a penciled in starter. He's going to have one of the spots. The other guy is going to be David Owegbu. I mean, Owegbu's got a ton of experience, and I feel like he's pretty talented. Granted, he's been a little bit of up and down. And then you think the guy behind him is Deshaun White, which, he's got a lot of talent as well. And then you think about the incoming transfer of TD Roof. And then I think of Shane Witter, which Shane Witter, I think I said it in the group breakdown. Shane Witter has to take this step this year if he wants to get playing time, because you have Kanik and McKinzie coming in. If Witter doesn't take this next step and kind of get a decent amount of playing time with Owegbu and Deshaun White in this rotation position, I think that could potentially factor into Witter. But I just think there's a lot of talent in front of McKinzie, and he's going to have to take some tremendous steps to see the field this year. But the thing is, even if he doesn't see the field, there's a lot of talent. He could redshirt, and getting him a year in the system is huge, and I really think it could pay off. And if they really needed him to, he could step into an edge position. With that size, he could play, as a kind of a rusher, as an edge player as well. If the linebacker position becomes a little full.
I don't think that he would excel at the rushing position, because he's much better at the at stopping the run, and he's just not, at least from high school, right? I mean, it might be very different going into college, but from what he did in high school, it seemed like he was very much the captain on the field. He was a quarterback of the defense, making sure that people were in place to do what they excel at doing. And his job was to maintain that stability on the defense and keep the running back in front of him, which he does really well at, except, like you said, and if we ever see him in a sticky situation against a really fast running back, that's where we can get into some issues. But I think what would be best for him would be to redshirt, in my opinion, because one, he'll get to learn a lot from the system, the coaches, but also from the players in the room. And he's roommates with Jaren Kanik, who I believe is going to be playing a more pivotal role going into next season. So, hopefully they're watching film together a lot. I would assume that they're probably always either hanging out doing college kid stuff, or hanging out watching film, like I'm sure that they're assigned, or just doing it on their off time to just get better. But that may be another reason why he improves, because when I was 18, 19 years old, me and Brandon were always trying to do team in shape, and we got better. And I think, and it was because we were roommates and we were able to like force each other to do things. I think that's kind of what I kind of expect of this duo. They seem to be really close already. If we watch them on social media, they're good friends. If Jared isn't hitting the weights and going to the gym, Kobie's probably not wanting to fall behind, because he knows that there's a lot of talent along with him. And he really needs to focus on improving physically. I know he's got the size, but he just doesn't have the physical tools yet to actually excel. Again, from what I've seen, but his brain, with between the shoulders, you know, he's I think probably the smartest guy coming into the year as a freshman. His physical tools just need to improve, and I think that's not unattainable. 3-4 months coming into the spring game, I think, is where we'll see really where he is in this group. And if he is to the position where we can say he's competing with Deshaun White, and he's making Deshaun White look kind of like he's never really played the linebacker position at the college level, and he's been here now for 3 or 4 years, then I think that's when we can say, all right, Kobie might actually be competing for starting time next year. If he's still a little bit lagging behind, then a redshirt or special teams might be his best place going into next year, so that he can mature physically and then go into 2023 ready to go.
Sorry, guys. OU basketball is in one hell of a game right now, and it's on as we're doing this podcast. OU was down 69-65. Emoji Gibson just hit a huge three from the top of the key, cut it 69-68. So I'm listening to you guys, but I'm very much locked into this basketball game at the same time. Going back to Brum's original point about Kobie Mckinzie as an edge rusher, where he does possess that size and speed and talent to do so, I kind of agree with Hose, as he's too bright of a kid, too intelligent on the field. He needs to be standing up and kind of read and react and develop and blow up that run game, as Hose mentioned. He's a very, very good run stopper, very instinctual. So where he can play on the edge and kind of rush the passer, if we need him to do that, I don't think that's going to be a necessary step at all during his tenure. I think he's a natural linebacker, and that's where he's going to play. As far as him and Kanik being roommates, I also agree, because they're going to push each other. Like, as you mentioned, as you and I in team and shape in college, if you're going to the gym, I want to go to the gym because I don't want you to be better than me, and vice versa. And then they've got to be the exact same way. They're D1 athletes. They're not going to – Jaren's not going to let Kobie get a leg up, and vice versa. They're only going to push each other and only get better together. And that's another reason why I can't – I mentioned the trio of Jaden Rowe, Jaren Kanik, and Kobie Mckinzie. I cannot wait to see those three in the field at the same time. I think that's going to be fireworks. And I don't think we're going to see it again until next year, but that's going to be fireworks. So, I mean, yeah, I think you made a good point with Deshaun White too, because clearly if he's better than Deshaun White, if he makes Deshaun White look dumb, kind of much so that's what you're saying. He should start, and he will start. Because as we've talked multiple times about Brent Venables, I don't think he's going to play that game as, oh, well, Deshaun White's this, he's got seniority, he has to play. No, I think Brent Venables is going to play the best kid, the best player at the position. I think some of the people in our comments aren't huge on Deshaun White. I think Deshaun White is is a pretty damn good football player. I think he's a good linebacker. I think he sees the field well. I think Kobie Mckinzie being here, because I don't see him starting this year as a freshman. I think what he's going to do this year is be good enough to play. He's good enough to play. And I think Deshaun White's going to know that he's good enough to play, and it's going to elevate Deshaun White's game. I think this year he's going to make Deshaun White a better linebacker, because Deshaun White's going to know, shit, if I start playing bad, this kid behind me is pretty damn good, and he can take my spot in 1 second. And I think it's going to elevate Deshaun White's ability. So for this year, I think Kobie Mckinzie is here, and he's going to push Deshaun White. He's going to push people ahead of him. But I think he's just going to make Deshaun White better this year. That's kind of how I see him.
And I think we're going to see that throughout the entire defense as well. Everyone knows that their job is not secured, especially with Venables and this staff. I feel like they're going to play the best player. And if you're not the best player, sorry, you just need to improve, or we got to get someone else in there. I'm watching the game right now. OU's down 2. They're dribbling up the ball right now. Goldwire goes in, and that's unfortunate. Anyway, all right, back to this. Sorry. Unfortunate. So OU's season ends as far as basketball. It was a good run. The team's going to get better next year. A point I want to make overall with McKinzie is I think this is the first time in a long time that we now have a coaching staff that can close out and flip a recruit on the defensive side at the last minute. Because I'm thinking of Lincoln Riley and his staff and Grinch and even Mike Stoops before. Could they really go in and flip a kid like a week before the National Signing Day? Granted, I know McKinzie was committed to the Sooners a long time, but I feel like the old staff wouldn't have been able to do what Brent Venables did. His name, his ability, what he's done and put kids in the NFL. I think the track record speaks for itself. So now we've seen a lot of kids flip, over the last few years at the last second to go to Alabama, to go to different schools. I really think when Venables puts a full court press on someone, I'm not saying he's like Nick Saban, or quite at that level, but I feel pretty good. I feel a lot better whenever you get Venables to, if he wants to close out someone, I feel like Venables has a great shot at doing that. And I don't feel like the last staff really had that per se, as definitely not on the defensive side. I mean, maybe a little bit on the offense, but, we saw Jace McClellan commit for 2 years and then leaves. So I really think this was huge. The fact that OU was able to flip him at the last second back and keep him from, the University of Texas. I know it's Texas, but still it's being able to keep him away from there. I think you're going to see that going forward with this team, and not just like 3 stars and low recruits. I mean, 4 and 5 stars. I think Venables is going to be able to flip kids.
Yeah, recruiting overall, I think is going to be definitely different. We've seen it already, but you made a good point with like the being able to flip and close on guys, especially during crunch time. We saw it all the time with Lincoln, and I think that's just the way he strategized his recruiting. It was very much focused on one guy or a couple of guys, and then if they ended up decommitting or flipping and going elsewhere, then we were kind of screwed. For example, the wide receiving group for this last class, we had a ton of guys, and then they all left pretty consecutively, which is, it's the offensive side. That's the part where you would expect guys to want to be here no matter what, because of the Lincoln Riley offense and the wide receivers that have been produced through Oklahoma during his time. But that wasn't the case for whatever reason. Everyone had different reasons and they left. But I think this is going to be a little different moving forward. And hopefully we just see, and it's not just going to be for the defense, even though that probably will be for the first few years, the guys that will be flipping more often to come to Oklahoma.
I think Kobie Mckinzie decommitting from Texas after being there for half a day or a day, and also cutting off USC after Lincoln Riley decided to go there, just speaks to his intelligence. That's really all I have about that. And yeah, we're going to land a bunch of defensive recruits and flip kids all the time. But yeah, he's clearly smart, because he said Texas sucks and he said Lincoln Riley sucks even harder.
I agree. You couldn't have said it any better. So no, I think Kobie's ceiling is extremely high. His floor is extremely high as well. Him and Kanak are going to be a dynamic duo for the next 3 or 4 years. We'll kind of do some over-unders. I think we all kind of agree that McKinzie most likely will be redshirted. I see him playing his 4 games, though. Those are valuable to get him in the early season games and getting some playing time. Total defensive snaps, I don't know. I'm going to set it like 12%. No, 8. We'll do 8% of his, total defensive snaps. 8. I don't know. I think 4 games, he'll get third and fourth quarter time. I think 8% might be fair. Might be high. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the under. It's going to be tough. Even using his 40 games, he might be coming in the second half, assuming that we're running those teams. Yeah, I'll go with the under.
I'm going to hit the over, because we're going to run those teams, and he's going to play. I think he's going to play a majority of the second halves in the first 4 games, just because you can. It doesn't cost a redshirt anymore. So it's only going to be smart to play those kids for 4 games, and hopefully he goes out there and screw somebody up. He mufties somebody, as Patty the Batty likes to do. Someone's gonna get muftied, and he's gonna mufti somebody.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go over. I think he'll be about 9-10%. Just because I do agree. I think OU is going to put teams away a lot earlier and a lot better than we've seen in recent memory. I think OU is going to be able to just close people out because for whatever reason, the last staff couldn't do that. But overall, we all agree redshirt this year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think he'll play. He'll probably be a starter his sophomore season. I mean, especially if Danny Stutzman really takes the next step. But I mean, I guess Stutzman, could come back again. I guess he's only, what is he going to be, a sophomore?
Yeah. What would give McKenzie in is Deshaun White and David Agwebu leaving.
Yeah, which I think Agwebu probably will definitely leave, and Deshaun White. I think Deshaun White's a redshirt senior coming in, so they'll have to go. So him and Kanek will be competing. So do you guys have any final thoughts on McKenzie? I mean, a guy that, he's kind of the leader of the Champ U 2022 class without having a quarterback, someone that OU desperately needed, not only for his talent, but for his leadership in this recruiting class. Obviously, I don't, if you're on Twitter, you see those Twitter spaces leading up to National Signing Day. Kobie Mckinzie was tweeting things. He was talking in those spaces and hyping people up. And whenever that flurry of last minute commits that Venables got after his staff got hired, McKenzie was really kind of a ringleader in that. Do you guys have any final thoughts? No. All right. So now remember, we're, before the spring game, hour or two before, meet us at O'Connell's. Brandon and I will be there. We still have 3 pairs of tickets to give away. So, next giveaway is going to be the 28th. So be sure to subscribe, turn that notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everything that you might have. Like us on Facebook, and comment done, and do Brandon's in a video challenge. Brandon, what is that today?
Yeah, so again, I'm just going to reiterate Brum's point. We really do want to see you guys at O'Connell's. Justin, we better see you there. We're giving you some tickets, man. Get your ass there. But not only Justin, just everybody show up. We want to see you guys there. Because we really do appreciate your support, and it would be, in our opinion, it would be really fun to kind of see the guy. You guys support us, and it'd be fun to hang out with you guys, have a good time. You can buy us a couple beers. It'd be a good time. So yeah, clearly come to O'Connell's. We'd love to see you guys there. And the you buying us a beer thing is a joke before everybody gets mad in the comments. But although if you want to, you can. We're not going to say no. With Kobie Mckinzie, which is the video's sake, obviously on this show, we all see him as a redshirt guy, a guy with a very bright future, but a guy who's not going to start this year. I mentioned I cannot wait to see him, Kanek, and Rowe on the field together, and I'll stand by that because I do think that's going to be nightmarish for opposing offenses, and I can't wait to see it. Where do you guys have Kobie Mckinzie on these Houdats? It's very easy for me on the end of video challenge. Do you agree with us? Is he a redshirt guy? Do you guys see him cracking the lineup? Because I envision some of some of you who watch the show will see him as a starter because he is that. And I agree, he's that talented. So yeah, where do you guys see him? Is he a starter this year? Is he behind Kanek? Is he going to beat Deshaun White out at some point during the season? Maybe by midseason, is he going to be the starter over Deshaun White? Where do you guys see him going?
Yeah, do that. Comment, let us know what you think. Our opinions are not always right, obviously, and we'd like to hear what you guys have to say. And that way you guys can enter into to win some more tickets next week. So, if you made it this far, you might as well enter into the contest and subscribe. Even if you're not wanting the tickets because you're from out of state, just hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And we'll be posting a couple more videos this week, probably at least one more recruiting, if not 2. And then we might do another Who Dat. We'll see, and we'll catch you next time.